If you would, open your Bibles to the 18th chapter of the Gospel according to St. Luke. St. Luke chapter 18, beginning with verse 1 through verse 8. Notice these words of the Lord. Then he spoke a parable to them that men always ought to pray and not lose heart, saying, there was in a certain city a judge who did not fear God nor regard man. Now there was a widow in that city, and she came to him saying, get justice for me from my adversary. And he would not for a while. But afterward he said within himself, though I do not fear God nor regard man, yet because this widow troubles me, I will avenge her, lest by her continual coming she weary me. And then the Lord said, hear what the unjust judge said. And shall God not avenge his own elect who cry out day and night to him, though he bears long with them? I tell you that he will avenge them speedily. Nevertheless, when the Son of Man comes, will he really find faith on the earth? And I want to talk today from the subject, where is the faith? Where is the faith? Some years ago, a lady did a commercial for Wendy's, and she asked the question, where's the beef? But we ask the question today, where is the faith? Where is the faith? And I want you to realize that Jesus gave a parable here. When Jesus used parables, about 35% of the teachings of Jesus were done in parabolic form, where he shared an earthly story to give us an idea of a heavenly concept. And I want you to see that this is a woman that had an issue, and she went to the judge and said, avenge me, avenge me. And he would not. She's a widow woman. This widow woman is really a picture of the church. She is the church because her bridegroom has been killed on a cross. And she's coming saying, avenge me of mine adversary. Have you ever felt that because you were a part of the church that you come under demonic attack? And so there's an issue here. You know, the Bible says that if you have the faith the size of a grain of mustard seed, that you could say to the mountain, be removed and be cast into the sea, and it would be done, just for having a little faith. And so after he shares this story here about this woman that finally wore an unjust judge down. See, that means the judge here is a type of the enemy, the devil. He's a type of the devil because he had no regard for God nor man. This is a type of Satan that troubles the life of the Christian. And so the woman was unrelenting. She was totally unrelenting. She refused to give up. And if you're going to have the kind of tenacity that can produce results to where the devil will cave in, it's going to be because of the strength of your faith. And so he ends this parable asking the question that when the Son of Man comes, will he really find faith on the earth? That's the question. Will he really find faith on the earth? You see, this woman kept coming to the judge night and day. She wouldn't stop. That's what I call believing. Believing is never giving up. Believing is never giving up. When you believe, you never give up. If I believe that something is going to happen, I never give up. You know how if you lose something in a particular place, you don't stop looking for it in one place? If you don't see it there, how many of you have gone back to the same place and looked again? And you said, I know I had it here just a minute ago. I've seen women nearly tear the lining of their pocketbooks out Because you know that you dropped something there. You know it was there. You know it didn't just go into a black hole. You know that it's got to be here somewhere. When you believe, you refuse to stop. You refuse to give up. We give up only because we stop believing that there is any further hope in continuing what we do. If I believe in my marriage, I will fight for my marriage and I will never give up on my marriage. If I believe in it. But if I ever stop believing, I'll give up on it. If I believe that he'll never change, she'll never change, I'll give up on whatever I don't believe. But believing is never giving up. I don't care how long it takes for it to happen. Believing is never giving up. If God gives you a word, you hold that word. You believe that word. You never give up. And Jesus is asking the question, when the Son of Man shall come on the earth, will he find faith? Shall he find faith on the earth? Will he find people who have become exasperated and overwhelmed by the circumstances and the problems of life that they just give up? But we are believers. Believing means never giving up. We never give up. I don't care how many people fall by the wayside. We never give up. We never give up. If we believe, we never give up. I tell you, I'm not going to hell for anybody. I believe God, I believe his word, I believe in heaven, I believe in Jesus. I'm not going to hell for anybody. I will never, ever give up. I'll never give up. I'll never give up. So what do you suppose that Jesus was asking? Suppose he was, when he asked this question, suppose he was actually looking at mankind's steady weakening faith between the day when he said that and the day in which we live right now. And he's asking the question, when the Son of Man comes, will he really find faith on the earth? And when you ask yourself this question, you might ask, what kind of faith is he talking about? What is he talking about? Well, clearly he's not talking about saving faith, because he's talking to the people of God. They're already saved. He's talking to God's people. He's not talking about saving faith. And I seriously doubt that Jesus is talking about the faith that is just lip service, but the faith that is life service. I want you to notice what Jesus says in Luke chapter 22, verse 31 and 32. And the Lord said, Simon, Simon, indeed, Satan has asked for you, that he may sift you as wheat. But I have prayed for you, that your faith should not fail. And when you have returned to me, strengthen your brethren. Now I want you to notice this. This is Jesus telling Simon Peter, Satan has asked for you. May I tell you something, church? Satan has asked for you. Not only does he want you, he wants your children. And but Jesus said, Peter, I have prayed for you. Not that you wouldn't have any trouble in life. I want you to notice that Jesus didn't pray that you wouldn't have any trouble in life. He didn't pray that you would never have a problem. He didn't pray that you would never have ups and downs. He didn't pray that you would never get depressed, that you'd never get sick. He says, Peter, I have prayed for you that your faith does not fail. Why would he say, I prayed for you that your faith does not fail? It is because if your faith does not fail and you fall, your faith will get you back up. You see, if you have a mishap while you've got your faith, as long as your faith is intact, you can have a mix-up, a mess-up, a slip-up. But if your faith is still strong, you can get back up again. If your faith is still intact when you go through a bankruptcy, when you have financial disaster in your life, if you have relationship lost, if your faith is still intact, you can get back up again. So Jesus is praying that your faith would not fail. Now listen, here's what the devil does. The devil will begin to attack your stuff. So he messes with your stuff, your land, your houses, your possessions, your clothes, your jewelry, your automobile. You ever have the devil mess with your car? get in the wash machine, the dishwasher, cause the refrigerator to go out. He'll start messing with your stuff. And I've seen people nearly lose it in their car because it won't go right, and they be talking to it. You know, when you have the kind of car where you have to give it a name, and you have to talk to it, and you pumping, and you know, you come on, Betsy, come on. You know, he'll attack your stuff. But listen, as long as your faith is not in your car, even if your car messes up, your faith will be strong to be able to keep you. As long as my faith is not in my clothes, if it's not in my jewelry, if it's not in my house, if it's not in my land, if it's not in my bank account, if that's not where my faith is, then when the devil touches any of those things, I'm not going to lose my mind. Job wouldn't even put his faith even in his own health, and that's why when the devil afflicted Job's health, he didn't lose his faith. He was still believing in God, and that's why after he lost all 10 of his children, after he had lost all of his crop, I wonder why Job didn't lose his faith. Job, after he had lost everything that he had and his body was afflicted with boils, Job said, naked came I into the world, and naked am I going to go out of the world. Blessed be the name of the Lord. That's why Jesus prayed for Peter's faith. Because if your faith is not in things, if you lose things, your faith will not be disturbed. In fact, when the devil begins to mess with your things, it ought to deepen your faith in God. And so Jesus said, Peter, I have prayed for you that your faith does not fail. And so the Son of Man is asking, when the Son of Man comes back on the earth, shall he find faith? Is he going to find faith? But see, this stuff is often a test to see if your faith was in things or if your faith is in God. And if your faith is in things and you lose things, your faith will still be intact. But he asked the question, when the Son of Man comes, will he really find faith on the earth? What he's really asking here is that when Jesus comes back, he's asking, when I come back, will I find the church still putting their faith in me, in Jesus Christ and his word? Or will I find a church that has compromised and put its trust in world systems to have its needs met and its desires fulfilled? When he comes back, will he find a church that has become so much like the world instead of making the world more like Jesus? He's asking us a very serious question. When I come back, am I going to find such a watered down, compromised church that people will not be passionate in their faith and share their faith any longer? When I come back on the earth, will I really find faith in the earth? And I believe that Jesus is talking about a genuine faith that is accompanied by action. A genuine faith that is accompanied by action. James chapter 2, verse 17 and 18, notice, thus also faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead. And remember, dead faith doesn't work. But someone will say, you have faith and I have works. But he says, show me your faith without your works, and I will show you my faith by my works. Jesus is asking, when the Son of Man comes back, will he really find faith that is accompanied by works on the earth? Or will I come back find people talking a good game but not walking it? Now let me just say, because faith without works is dead, and he said, listen, the author is saying, you show me your faith by your works, and without your works, I'll show you my faith by my works. In other words, have you ever gone to the movies and you watched a movie and the mouths are moving out of sync with the sound? When your audio is out of sync with your video? And so Jesus is saying, when the Son of Man returns to the earth, is he going to find your audio in sync with your video? Will he find you walking what you talk when the Son of Man returns on the earth? Is he going to find us saying one thing and doing another, or will he find our works confirming our faith? You show what you really believe in by showing what you do. I mean, if I have faith that it will not rain and walk out of the house with an umbrella, my works have just undermined my faith. So he's asking, when the Son of Man comes, will he find faith, really find faith on the earth? Faith grows from day to day by your dependence on God to fulfill his promises to you. And I want you to see how it all started in the 7th chapter of the book of Deuteronomy. I want you to notice the word of the Lord here. Verse 13. He will love you and bless you, and he will give you many children. This was God's promise to his people, Israel. He will give fertility to your land and your animals. When you arrive in the land he swore to give your ancestors, you will have large harvest of grain, new wine and olive oil, and great herds of cattle, herds of cattle, sheep and goats. You will be blessed above all the nations of the earth. None of your men or women will be childless, and all your livestock will bear young. And the Lord will protect you from all sickness. He will not let you suffer from the terrible diseases you knew in Egypt, but he will inflict them on all your enemies. Now that's when you serve God and God says, I'm going to bless you. You're not going to be barren. You're going to be fruitful. You're going to be productive. Your land is going to yield. God was saying to them, I am going to prosper you. I'm going to prosper you. Someone wrote this. They said, religion gives birth to prosperity, and the daughter consumes the mother. Religion gives birth to prosperity, and the daughter consumes the mother. That was a time when we didn't have things the way we have it now. I've seen people in this day and time, I mean, when you were really going through, when we were in slavery, we knew God. We prayed. We went to church. It was not an option. But it's amazing now that we've been to school and got 15 cents in the bank. But in other words, God, he promises to bless those who will follow him, but eventually man will make prosperity his religion and abandon God. Because then we feel as though we can provide for ourselves and no longer need God to provide for you. But let me just tell you this, even when you have money, you need God to make your marriage work. You need God to keep your children from acting like a fool. You need him to keep the systems of your body still functioning and your mind in a way where you're not dealing with dementia and Alzheimer's and arthritic things are taking over your body, and you're dealing with all kinds of digestive disorder, and you're not being able to sleep at night. You still need God. Don't ever get so high that you think that you won't ever need the living God. I mean, we have to ask ourselves this question: are we working to live, or are we living to work? Just so that we can be in fine homes and working 2 jobs and trying to send our child to a private school and all of this kind of stuff, and getting all of this highfalutin stuff, eating food we can barely pronounce and all of this, and forget to bow our heads and thank God, acting as though we are ashamed to give thanks to the one that has blessed us with provisions to be able to eat. Don't ever forget the Lord. I want you to take a look at this little video clip. Think about how you treat your work.
I read a study yesterday. It said that last year, more than half of us actually chose not to take our full vacations from our jobs. Question: Don't you think it's crazy that so many of us go into work even when we don't need to be there? Times we could be on the beach buried in sand or traveling the earth. We spend it in the office, traveling from desk to desk, buried in paperwork. See, in this chaotic world, everything goes so fast. We're so busy, seems like everyone's middle name is multitask. But now before you go and act all holier than thou, how many extra tabs do you have open on your computer right now? See, we all need time to get away from the race, for our family, friends, for the sake of our mental state. Time to rewind, recharge, and reconnect. Not reporting to the office on emails that should be on redirect. Because life, ladies and gentlemen, is all about moments. No one in history has ever been able to hold on to one. Not a single soul. And you never get them back. See? There one goes. No do-over, no rewind, no DVD root menu to skip to a previous scene. Ask yourself, how many trips did you almost take? How many sights have you almost seen? How many moments have you lost thinking about the next one, thinking that once you get this or get there, maybe that will be the best one? Life has taught me that all we will ever have is now. But let me be perfectly clear. I'm not saying to quit your job, even though I know you deserve a 6-month vacation twice a year. But how about small steps, short trips with long dances, no distractions? Spend time with family instead of coworkers, meditation instead of aggravation. Replace our screensavers with sunrises, palm pilots with palm trees, jam copy machines with... Man, I really hate jam copy machines. The most precious thing we have in life are moments. Let's make the most of them before they disappear. Let's see the world while we still can and cherish those while they're still here. Because when our lives are almost over, it won't matter how much money we made or hours we worked or times we got employee of the month. What we will look back on are the memories we made, the hours we spent with those we loved, and were we father of the month, mother of the year, friend of a lifetime. Holidays should be a time where we go away and come together. From now on, let's take our whole vacation and be fully present, creating memories that will last forever.
Are you working to live or living to work? The great paradox of life is that the things that initially made you successful are rarely the things that keep you successful. It's amazing. And I want you to see here God's attempt to help us to avoid this. God is omniscient. He knows all things from the beginning. So he saw where we were going and he did his best to help us to avoid it. Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 11 through 14, notice. But this is the time to be careful. Beware that in your plenty you do not forget the Lord your God and disobey his commands, regulations, and decrees that I am giving you today. For when you have become full and prosperous and have built fine homes to live in, and when your flocks and herds have become very large and your silver and gold have multiplied, you got long money, along with everything else, be careful. Do not become proud at this time and forget the Lord your God, who rescued you from the slavery in the land of Egypt. And I want you to hear this further warning, verse 15 through 19. Do not forget that he led you through the great and terrible wilderness with its poisonous snakes and scorpions, where it was so hot and dry. He gave you water from the rock. He fed you with manna in the wilderness, a food unknown to your ancestors. He did this to humble you and test you for your own good. He did all this so you would never say to yourself, I have achieved this wealth with my own strength and energy. Remember the Lord your God. He is the one who gives you power to be successful in order to fulfill the covenant he confirmed to your ancestors with an oath. But I assure you of this, if you ever forget the Lord your God and follow other gods, worshiping and bowing down to them, you will certainly be destroyed. God warned us that if you make material things your God, you will certainly be destroyed. If your faith is in your 401k and in your health package benefits, instead of looking to God as your healer. And let me just say this. This is why Jesus is asking, when the Son of Man shall come, will he really find faith on the earth? You remember that the generation of the Israelites who came into the promised land, they experienced the most spectacular miracles that the world has ever seen. But then we notice in Judges chapter 2 and verse 10, he says, after that whole generation had been gathered to their fathers, after that whole generation died, another generation grew up who knew neither the Lord nor what he had done for Israel. It didn't take 3 generations. One generation. In one generation. Listen, we are one generation away from people rising up and not knowing God. One generation away. When we refuse to replenish in our own sons and daughters. That's why we have to remind them what the Lord has done for us.
Thank you for watching Power for Living with Bishop Dale C. Bronner. Join us again next time for Power for Living, where revelation is power. Power for living.